Hi, my name is Mary Ellen Gibbles, and my partner in crime here is Sherry Chapels. Sherry and I are both trained meeting facilitators, and we volunteer to help this meeting today get going forward. We have no necessary affiliation with one brand or another. I'm ArtClay certified, she's PMC certified, so between the two of us, we're a neutral party. And what we wanted to talk about this evening is a few things. We're going to make a few introductions, some people we want to talk about why we're meeting here today, lay a few ground rules for the meeting, and then have a few discussions. The discussion areas, the purpose of the organization that we're talking about, what services they would provide, who their customers would be, the members, what would be the geographic scope, what are the next steps for the group, and who's going to do them. And besides Sherry and I, we want to introduce Jackie Trudy, who is right here. Jackie Trudy's got... and Jeanette Landwich, who's up here. And Jackie and Jeanette have both headed the two organizations that have existed in the past. PMC Guild and, oh, Jackie say no. Jackie is the head of ArtClay World USA. Katie's actually the ArtClay Society. Another person that I should introduce, Katie Baum. And we may want to reference them at certain points because they have experience in putting together organizations like this. There's a lot more to it than probably those of us that just pay our membership fee and show up realize. And I know I don't realize everything that's to it. And what we wanted to do this evening was to just start to put a frame around what an organization would look like that's not branded, but it's more about metal clay, the different metal clays, and whether we want to move forward with that kind of an organization or not, and go through the process of forming that. And one of the things that's unknown right now is the PMC Guild is going away. It's unknown whether the major brands sort of dictate what the organizations look like, because it doesn't make a lot of sense to go through all the process of forming something and the legal process around that if we would rather just be members of whatever the organizations are that the brands form. So that's a question to the group that we want to throw out there. And also, before we get too far down the list, one of the things we want to talk about as far as ground rules go, if anybody needs to talk, we're recording this, you need to come up and use the mic. And a couple of ground rules that we thought of ahead of time were turn off the cell phones, one person talking at a time, and if we're using the mic, that's going to make that a little easier. There's no bad ideas. There might be ideas the group prefers or doesn't prefer, but there's no bad ideas. And each speaker is limited to a certain time, so we don't have one person talking the whole time. And that's another thing to the group. I don't know what the exact time limit should be, but that's something that we would like to get feedback on. Having introduced this all, is this what you guys think we're here to talk about? Because this is what we came up with, and we want to know if this is what you guys think we should be talking about tonight. Thank you. So a couple of questions. How long should we say each person speaks for?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Do we have anyone to volunteer to be an informal timekeeper of the speakers? Thank you. So just to let them know when they hit their limits. And then the other question is, a non-branded metal clay organization, is that something that we want to pursue regardless of what or at least pursue at this time, regardless of what the manufacturers are doing? So we want to pursue this. Anybody have another opinion, doesn't want to go forward with it? All right. So, are there any other ground rules that someone wants to introduce? Are you all okay with the ground rules that we came up with ahead of time? Yes.
One more ground rule should be that when you go up to speak, you should say your name and where you're from, because not everybody might not know you, although there's plenty of people who know.
And I'm from the Chicago area, and my partner in crime is from Virginia. I don't know what part.
Springfield.
I'll go to DC.
All right, so to get started, the discussion areas that we wanted to start with. The first one we put down is the purpose or the mission of the organization. And then to help with that discussion, we thought it might be helpful to think about what the organization should be and what we think the organization shouldn't be. And if you don't have any shouldn't be's, that's okay, but we might have some shouldn't be's. So we have 2 pages to talk that through. And one of us will scribe for the should be's and one of us will scribe for the shouldn't be's. And I'm going to put this down so you guys can come up and talk. So, what do we think the organization should be? That's the first question.
Use the mic.
Can you please come up and use the mic?
Sorry, my name's Lorraine Vaughn Davis. I think if at all possible, it should be brand free. But that's not to say that AIDA and Mitsubishi couldn't support the Guild. So it would be, and I'm saying that because I've been a member of SNAG from Society of North American Goldsmiths for years and years and years, and there are supporters of the Guild. And especially when there's conferences, and that's really when we're going to need a lot of supporters in the conference. So if we can be brand free, that means it will be more of the sisterhood, brotherhood that we have here. And I think that, Elena.
Thank you. Other ideas?
I've never been known for being shy. I'm Sandra Graves, St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm qualified in PMC and in ACS. So I'll speak from both ASS, yeah, that too, probably. There must be one somewhere. I'd like it to be brand non-specific, but only because we need a certification and an educational process that incorporates all of the different materials that are out there, so that we don't have to go 8 different places to be able to utilize, purchase, or get educated in these products. I'm an end consumer. I also sell the product. And I think it would be really nice to be able to say to students who come to me that they could receive education in this or this or this in a single location. They can't do that now. They have to go to 3 or 4 different places because of the different certification requirements, or because of that person being educated to be allowed to teach X or Y. So if we are brand non-specific by all rights, we ought to be able to teach all the different materials. And I think that is super important because they're becoming merged. We're using all of them. I don't know anybody who's completely brand specific in their own studio. There are very few who are. So let's broaden out the world to meet our studio needs.
Making myself unpopular. I'm Pam East, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and we respectfully disagree about certifications. Certification programs are the property of the manufacturers, and they have developed these programs to promote their products. And I do not believe that certification should be a part of a guild. I personally believe that the purpose of a guild is it is a professional organization whose purpose is to provide us with a public face for metal clay to the community at large outside of metal clay, to educate the public and to promote and support metal clay in general, and to help us gain respect in the outer world and the metal smithing community by giving us a professional form and a professional face. Personally, that's what I see at a guild or society serving. Thank you.
I'm Wendy McManus. I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I think that the Guild should provide a mechanism for teachers to promote their classes and for students to find teachers. I've only been working in metal clay for 2 years and trying to find a teacher, first of all, in my area because there aren't any. But trying to find someone and then trying to wade through all of the different systems and all of the different listings was very confusing as a newcomer. Now I know where to go, but it would be nice to have one central place where teachers can promote their classes and students can find teachers. Both certification and, intro and project and technique and all types of classes.
Hi, so I'm Christine Helmerson, I'm from San Jose, California. I'm relatively new to this, but I have been a member of professional organizations in the sciences for several decades. And one thing I wanted to add, which kind of is in support of what Pam said, is one of the things that a guild or a professional organization can do is they have access to members, and because they might be brand neutral, they can gather the kind of information that a vendor might not be able to, because what a vendor can go against is biased, because they're going to go to the people who are already buying their product to some extent to survey. And one of the things, for example, that the Association of Computing Machinery does regularly is they have surveys, and they go out and do studies about education to figure out what's needed over the organization as opposed to for a particular thing. And then they can go back and supply that information to all kinds of other people who are interested, which like in this case would be the vendors. And that's a way to get the needs that we see as a guild back. But I agree with Pam completely. I mean, they're very different kinds of educational issues. And the one other thing I'd like to say is that having been involved in that organization for a long time and put on conferences and being involved in the guild, these things do not move quickly. So I think, this is going to be the beginning of a very long process. And I would like to say it's going to be frustrating, but I think if we're going to do this, we should do it slowly and we should do it right.
Just to clarify what you want to clarify.
Yes.
Let me clarify one thing. It said something about that it would be an organization that independently reviewed.
Well, so as a guild that's interested in metal clay, one of the things that I think that we're concerned with is what kind of education do we think as artists that we need? Not certifications, what kind of education do we think that we might need to grow? If you have somebody new coming in, what kinds of things are they interested in? What new things you might want to teach. And so you can get information because we would be brand neutral, and I would also say clay neutral. I mean, not just silver clay, not just gold, right? And we could gather that information because we have a broader membership.